Black Ops 7 legitimately reduced aim assist, so if you don't want to be whiffing all of your shots, your settings are more important than ever. So trust when I say I got you taken care of. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, getting in here to the controller settings, as I want to make sure, like I said, y'all are fully taken care of. So if you guys haven't, there is an ability to import your settings in. The option's not there for me, but when you go into your settings, you can import them. So what you had on Black Ops 6 can be used on Black Ops 7, so on and so forth. So that's really nice things. You don't have to go and redo everything and potentially miss something. So with that being said, let's get into it here though. First, of course, we're on the controller. I play on tactical flipped, and you guys can see what tactical layout is. I like to be able to crouch and slide and stuff with my sticks, and I like using melee as my B button. I do have a scuff controller, so I have paddles in the back, so I don't really even have to take my thumbs off the sticks in order to be able to actually take somebody out with the melee or something else like that. I think that is the most elite way to play the game. Not necessarily with a scuff, but just like on tactical, so you can slide, cancel, and do all that stuff properly. Of course, my stick layout is going to be on default, and my horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity is going to be on a 1.4. This is exactly what I played with on Black Ops 6 and of course on Warzone, and I was porting it over into this, and I was kind of trying to fine tune different things, and right now I have been stuck with exactly what I was running, as this just feels like it's going to be optimal for me. I always say that a higher sense is not always going to be better. Generally speaking, a lower sense is going to be better for more people more often than not, because the higher sense allows you to swing over targets, overcompensate, and especially with there being a lot less aim assist now with rotational aim assist. This is something that is very, very like crucial to have this dialed in. So probably lower it down from a previous title if you feel like you're missing some shots a little bit extra in this game. Now going to here, of course, we're turning all this off. Bumper ping, we don't really need that. I have that swap RB with LB and all that sort of stuff, you know, LT, RT. I have that just because it feels more preferential for me to be able to use my top bumpers instead of my bottom triggers. Total personal preference, not something that's crucial that you have to do, but it is something I like to do as a player that has played and grown up on, you know, PlayStation, where everything was top bumpers, not bottom triggers. So going on down here, a controller vibration on. I have like very small rumble packs in this controller, so it doesn't really feel like anything to me. I don't mind a little bit of that feedback. It just feels natural to me. The vibration's not ever going to throw off your aim. If someone's telling you that, that is not true. Unless you have the most ridiculous rumble packs of all time, that's not going to be a thing. Down in here into the dead zones, this is something that is also very, very crucial to have dialed in. So you guys can be able to see that my left stick minimum and my left stick maximum, I have this dialed in. We'll just go left stick and then right stick. My left stick minimum is going to be at a 0, and I personally like playing on a 0 dead zone. What that allows is that any millimeter of movement there is, I get to have that instantly register in game, and I like that for both of my sticks. However, on the left stick, the reason this is set to a 60 is because it doesn't really matter for me to have the full circumference of that left stick to trigger a movement left, you know, forwards, backwards, left, and right. I don't need that full area. I need only to hit 60% of that area in order for maximum movement to kick in. That allows me to achieve maximum input faster, which allows me to react faster. That is something that's very crucial to have here in the game. My right stick minimum is still going to be at a 0 because that's what feels natural to me. I would recommend dialing it down as low as possible, so that way you have the ability to fine tune and make those little changes. That is something that I think is very crucial. However, if you're not used to it, dial it back. You know, let's say you're going, like I'm on PC right now, like let's say I move this over, maybe you're stuck at a 10, you know, for your dead zone, and maybe you dial it down to like an 8, then down to like a 6, like move it down incrementally and try it that way. That is exactly how I got down to a 0-0, is I kept continuously moving it down until I could actually deal with it. That is something that's very nice. However, here on your right stick maximum, unlike your left stick, you want this to be at a 99 or 100. I've played at a 99 on Black Ops 6 and Warzone. I know it goes over here to 100, but listen, this is what feels natural to me to have. So 99 or 100, not really going to make a difference, but it is something that I recommend you do not, absolutely do not go any lower than 99. Anyone that tells you to put your right stick lower than that is just, that's just absurd. That is blasphemy. That's not good. Some of y'all might be looking at me down here and be like, yo, Chuck, why do you have dead zones on your triggers? I'll even show you my controller right now. This is just like the Scuff and Vision. And these are mouse click triggers. So for me, those dead zones just keep me from auto throwing grenades and stuff like that. They're very sensitive. So I have those there, but for everybody else, you should have them at a 0. Now moving over here to your aiming tab. This is also like all these things are going to be very crucial to have dialed in. Your sensitivity multiplier. So this right here, the only thing you need to mess with is your ADS sensitivity multiplier. Mine's going to be at a 0.70. I would highly suggest, especially on this game, if you're playing at a 1.0, if you've played at a 1.0 previously, with there being less aim assist in this game, rotational, like you can't they call it left sticking, where basically you can kind of just like move your character around and he stays magnetized onto something. You can't left stick as much in this game, really almost at all. So it's crucial to be able to actually aim with your right stick. So dial this back a little bit. I played on a 0.70 beforehand, and I've gotten used to it on Black Ops 7, and I have good aim anyways. So for me, that stays true, but for everybody else, I'd recommend dialing it back, whether it be a 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, something else like that. That's really going to be what you need to help you feel a lot more sticky, you know, aim assist wise in this game. Now going down here, of course, your target aim assist is on. Anyone that tells you that you don't need aim assist or to turn aim assist off and play like a man, it's like, I see that on like Battlefield videos. People like, don't use aim assist, play like a man. It's like, dude, that's ridiculous. Controller needs aim assist. So going in here though, we're gonna go into the advanced settings so you guys can see this. This is also massively, you know, I say underlooked thing, but ADS sensitivity transition timing, you want this to be on instant. I see some people like to do gradual. Gradual is not that great, because what gradual does is, it even says here by the definition, gradual sensitivity multiplier is progressively applied when alternating between hipfire to fully zoomed in. Essentially what that means is that your aim assist is gonna always ramp up and ramp down when you go, you know, obviously from hipfire to ADS, but literally instantaneously goes from that hipfire to your ADS settings, which is what you want ideally. You don't want that ramp up because you're flicking over to somebody. You want that to just immediately go into your actual ADS settings, so that way you don't overcompensate or miss a target or something else like that. You don't want to take that chance, you know, where there's multiple targets or there's something else going on in the way and you just go way off to the left, way off to the right. Can't get somebody that's coming down in front of you because it's trying to ramp up, and it makes your tracking a lot more difficult. So go for instant, don't go for gradual, or especially not after zoom. That is absurd. Don't ever go for that. That's a stupid setting. Moving on down here even a little bit more, your aim response curve type. This right here is going to still be on dynamic for me. I believe dynamic is a really great S-curve map. It allows it to ramp up and ramp down, so it allows you to get to the apex of like your aim assist and stuff like that, and then it'll slow you down so that way you don't start overcorrecting or going past people. It's very nice. Dynamic or standard would be a move in this game. Linear, and really in any Call of Duty, has definitely been a small majority of, or has been a small minority of people that like that or maybe find it better. Not really good for the mass majority of people, including myself as a top tier player, you know, as a very good player. I would say dynamic is still the move. Going on down here though, aim response curve slope scale, you want to keep this at a 1.0. If you start dialing this back, that takes that S curve that you have in your actual aim assist there, and it basically flattens it in. And that will basically, if you turn it all the way down to 0, you essentially have linear, which is not what you want to do. You don't want to do that. Like, you want this to still give you that S curve, as it's helping you out to the absolute max, and that's very beneficial. In this game in multiplayer, I will say that custom sensitivity per zoom, I don't find it to be very beneficial. Maybe if you're playing something like, you know, obviously when BO7 Warzone comes out, that'll be something where maybe you adjust it, like you throw that on and you go down here and you change your high zoom, you know, inputs and stuff like that. This has obviously been ported over for me from Warzone. Obviously, I'm 8 to 9 times scopes. I don't want to be aiming that fast, but overall, I'd say that's about the time when you maybe would switch over to that. For multiplayer, you can just keep it all the same. Now jumping here to the movement tab, we have, of course, our intelligent movement sprint assist. This should be on tactical sprint assist, so that way you can move as easily as possible. You don't have to continuously mash in your joystick. Obviously, your sprint assist delay should be on 0. Sprint sideways, backwards, that can be on. That should help you overall. It just helps you be more fluid in the game. I'd recommend you guys have that on. Mantle assist, I don't like having mantle assist on. I don't want to randomly mantle objects, especially with being able to wall jump and be able to very easily grab onto things in this game. I don't want to randomly mantle objects, and you will do that. So that's not something I recommend. If anything, maybe low mantle assist, but otherwise do not have that on, off, or low at best, or most, I should say. Crouch assist, we don't really need that. That's just not something that's really going to be beneficial to any of us. Corner slice, this can be on or off. I personally have gotten used to corner slicing. It's not one of those, I would say, things in the game that's going to hinder you in any capacity. In fact, sometimes it's actually a little bit nice to be able to peek around a corner a little bit and not fully expose your body. Can be beneficial. Not something you need, but I've gotten used to it. Have it on or off, not really going to be a detriment to your gameplay one way or the other. Wall jump assist, you can have this on, let's say, sideways only or something else like that. So that way, like, maybe when you're jumping sideways, you go next to a wall and you just are able to bounce off of that. I've considered having that on, but I do have a scuff, so I can tap those back buttons to jump very easily. So I don't have that on, but for other people that are maybe playing with a regular controller, don't have access to those buttons, or aren't playing like bumper jumper or playing claw or something, I'd say that running that could be something that'd be beneficial. Combat roll, we don't really need that. Slide slash dive behavior, my current one is going to be playing on hybrid. This has been transferred over from Warzone. I noticed that, for instance, when I was playing on tap to slide versus when I was playing on hybrid, my ability to move forwards and backwards and trigger certain movements was slower with tap to slide. Versus when going to hybrid, I felt like my inputs were a lot faster and a lot more like precise. So I've been playing on that ever since, and I recommend you guys either stay on tap to slide if that's comfortable for you, or go to hybrid and give it a try. Very, very nice. Now down in here for your automatic airborne mantle, this is gonna be off. It can be on like maybe partial or something like that. Not gonna make or break your game, but it can be slightly annoying if you, let's say, automatically mantle onto an object, grab onto something you didn't want to grab onto. Just kind of food for thought right there. Sprint restore, you want to keep that on, so that way you can definitely keep on sprinting and stuff like that. Slide maintain sprint, you want to definitely keep that on. Parachute behavior can be just on always, or just can be on free fall. I don't know actually why it was on always. Mine should just be on free fall. And then wingsuit activation can be on manual. Wall jump activation can be on press. That way you get closer to the wall and do that. Don't ever want this to be on hold or off. That's just kind of weird. Like, why would you not want to be able to perform a wall jump and utilize the maps to your advantage? That doesn't really make sense. And of course, slide slash combat roll behavior is going to be on tap to slide. All the rest of this stuff down here, we'll get in here to the movement advanced settings, so you guys can take a look at some of this. But overall, we're going to hop in here and just kind of show you guys a couple of things. So grounded mantle, this can be on, doesn't have to be. Tactical sprint activation can be on single tap sprint. You don't want to have it on single tap run or double tap, and this can be on trigger, and sprinting door bash can be on. Now moving in here to your combat tab, this is also pretty crucial. Aim down sight behavior is going to be on hold. If you have this on toggle, please, for the love of God, turn this off of toggle and put it on hold. That is a ridiculous setting you don't want to have. Down in here, your body shield, this can be on like prioritize finishing move. If you want to go for insult injury, obviously prioritize body shield, whatever. Do whatever you want, not going to make a difference. I really don't go for finishing moves all that often. I just kind of like, you know, take somebody out and keep it moving. But overall, that's just kind of personal preference. Armor plate behavior, this is very useful. Apply all. Definitely want to have that on. C4 detonation 1 by 1, so that way you can chuck a C4, little snack pack sandwich, blow it up, and then you can throw another one and detonate it as well. You don't have to throw 2 of them at once or something like that in order to be able to get them to detonate. Don't want to have that happening. Other than that, going on down here, nothing really crazy. We don't really have to go into the overlay advanced settings. If you guys want to just see this, that's just the general things in game. Doesn't really matter. But overall, into the combat advanced settings, this has got some great settings into it. We're to go down in here. Basically, one of the first things you need to take a look at is the interact slash reload behavior. This should be on tap to reload. If you're playing multiplayer, it doesn't really matter to have anything else. If you're playing Warzone, obviously prioritize interact. But if you're playing multiplayer, so tap to reload just makes sense. You don't want to be overall, let's say you're playing multiplayer and you have prioritize interact on. That means you go to reload, maybe when you're over somebody's gun and you accidentally pick up their gun in their class, and it's like, no, I just wanted to cop a reload on my gun. So don't want to do that. Just go for tap to reload. Make your life easy. At worst case scenario, you got to hold X or square to be able to pick up some ammo or something else like that, you know, from an assault pack, whatever. It doesn't really matter. For mantle cancels reload, you can definitely have that on, so that way, like, you can still mantle and the reload does cancel out. It's going to help you get away from things. Sprint cancels reload. I will have to kind of see with this setting if I want to have this on or off. Right now I have this off. So I'd recommend to just have this in the off section right now. Akimbo behavior, I'm going to have this on independent, obviously, so you can fire, let's say, akimbo pistols, SMGs, whatever it may be, so you can fire them independently, and you can, you know, do that, you know, obviously trigger to trigger and stuff like that. It makes sense. You don't want to have them both going at the same time. All right, well, ladies and gents, that is all I got for you in terms of dialing in your controller. Hopefully, these allow you to feel a lot more confident in your shot, not feel that aim assist nerf as much. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see y'all next time.